Eccoci, ciao ragazzi, abbiamo raggiunto i like, quindi sono stato costretto a fare il video. Buona cingoma, dai, sorridi. Vabbè, vi vogliamo salutare, mettiti bene. Vi vogliamo bene. Ciao ragazzi.
They think I'm not fishing no more. Hey, you know what I'm saying, man? I went back to school and get my master's degree, man. I'm still fishing, man. Now I'm going my PhD, man. Brain food for my hood, man. We all grown now, chasing our own dreams.
Goats eat weeds. We don't. So, I'm going to get into what that means and how it applies to your life. But first I want to talk about Harrell's law, because these are kind of the foundational principles of language, lessons of the heart, and the foundational principles of life. We are feeling beings. We feel nature, we feel reality, we feel each other, we feel love, and that is our factory specs. But we have changed from feeling beings to thinking first, feeling second, or thinking first and not feeling. So let me go over these laws. Of course I put my name on it as a joke, because these laws were in place before human beings existed. They're fundamental laws. First law is consciousness, spirit, and will cannot be separated or disconnected. It can only be denied or ignored. The second law is everything is conscious, spirit, and will. All matter is a state of consciousness, conscious beings, and all things are beings. There is nothing that is not a being, meaning you can talk to it, and it can feel you feeling it. You can communicate with everything, every being. Every aspect of this whole universe you can communicate with, because all matter is a state of conscious being. Then number 3a, you cannot create or destroy spirit and will beings. You can only deny, ignore, or modify your sense impressions of them. And number 3b, spirit and will conforms to your deny, your ignoring, and your modifying your sense impressions of them. This is really what it's all about. The 3a, you cannot create or destroy spirit and will beings. You can only deny, ignore, or modify your sense impression of them. And 3b, the spirit will conforms to your denial, ignoring, and modifying of your sense impressions of them. All of science, all of physics is in that 3b, right? We take these things, they're looking at the world as things and not beings, and they project the thingsness, about energy and light and physics and stars and cosmos. They project onto that their understandings, and then they do the mathematics and they do all the experiments to try to prove their understandings. But the deeper they go, it always gets back to living beings. Every cell is a living being. Atoms looking pretty much like conscious living beings. The movements of the galaxies looking pretty much like living beings. So we project onto reality, or we deny the living being part of it. We deny the feeling part of it in preference to thinking. So it's thinking has the, you know, in the driver's seat, and feeling, you know, is pulling doing the work. And I'm going to give you an example of 3B. It's what this video about is 3B. Your spirit and will. Spirit, that's all spirit and will. When you project out to spirit and will, to whatever is out there, it conforms to your denial, your judgments, or your ignoring the beingness, the fullness of the beingness, and your modification of your sense impression. So if you have a sense impression that the world is a bad place, you'll project that out. Or if it's a good place, you'll project that out. Or if it's good and bad and balanced, you project that out. And and it will conform to that, and you will see that. That's a very powerful principle, because all of our problems come from the projections of our past experience that we have denied, ignored, or modified, and then we hold them inside of us and project out.
To what extent is water capable of picking up information? What does it perceive? And how does it remember it over time?
The Aerospace Institute in Stuttgart has discovered a relatively simple way of making the structure of a drop of water visible. The researchers have had their efforts rewarded by insights into a very beautiful world. Each drop has a face of its own, unmistakable and unique. Why are the individual drops so different from one another? We got a lot of people to come to a lecture hall here at the Institute, gave them all the same water, had them make drops at exactly the same time, collected all the drops, and then discovered that each individual produced different images from the same water. And here you can see the results. Here on the right you can see that the images of the individual students are different, but those made by a given student are all quite similar. This is the work of the first experimenter, this one here from the second, this from the third, and this from the fourth. Individually they can quite easily be reproduced, but you would never have thought that they were all from the same water, because when you compare the images from the different people, you see some big differences. Then we undertook experiments to find out whether things changed when we put something into the water. A real flower was placed in the water. A while later we took a drop of water, and here you can see one of the pictures. And you can see it in this picture. It's the typical image you get when you put a flower into water. You could recognize the flower in every single drop in this glass, of course. That can be reproduced and has significance. And if you were to put a different flower in here, for example, a Sweet William flower, then all the drops of this water would look like Sweet William. The statement that water has a memory practically changes our whole way of looking at the world, of course. Let's travel down the Rhine in the figurative sense. The water is flowing down the Rhine, picking up information everywhere it goes. So the water has more information at the mouth of the Rhine than it had at the source. And the Dutch, living at the mouth, when they drink that water, they're also drinking all that information. Thus, the world's oceans would no longer be something that separates us, but instead a giant storehouse of information, and the rain would perhaps be a data medium carrying information to the world.
Okay, that's aerospace. That's the aerospace industry. And they did that with the flower and people, and what does that mean? It means that the water can feel the people, and the water can feel the flower. And the people, and we as feeling beings, we can feel the water. We can feel the air. We can communicate with the sky, the sun, the earth, other beings, invisible beings. We can communicate with everything, because everything is a conscious being. And that was actually based on Dr. Emoto's work out of Japan. And this next clip, the talk about the water and the different personalities, that was pretty neutral, about water absorbing our energy. But the whole world absorbs our energy, and collectively we have manifested the world that we see today. But the next little thing is directly from Dr. Emoto, where it shows putting love into a little bottle of rice and putting hate into a little bottle of rice. And that goes to the law 3A is you cannot create or destroy spirit and will beings. You can only deny, ignore, or modify your sense impression of them. So if your sense impression, this is what he's doing. He has a sense impression of love or hate, and he's projecting that onto the rice bottles. Okay? And the next thing he does, and then what happens, what is the result of that is 3B. This is very, very important. It's 3B. Is the spirit and will, that is the consciousness of whatever you're projecting onto, conforms to your denial, your ignoring, or modifying of your sense impression of them. Okay? That's going to be that clip. And keep in mind while you watch this clip that you are made up of rice and water. You are made up of material and water, matter, living stuff and water. And what you have in your consciousness, what you have thought up, your beliefs, your denials, your pain and your suffering, are all affecting you physically. Keep that in mind. Because not only do we project out, but we project in.
Okay, rice experiment. Actually, maybe this should be called the consciousness experiment, because that's what this is about. Okay, so obviously these are just little glass jars with lids, all washed up. And then here is some cooked rice. Not much, because the rest of it is in my tummy. Now, this is going in here. 1 spoonful in there. There they go, 2 little glass containers of rice. Love and hate. So I'm going to take the love, we'll stick this one, we'll stick it across the top, there like that, look. Love, hate. Every day for the next month I'm going to love this rice. Send it some love. Just think love. And with this rice, I'm going to think hate, horrid, hate it, evil rice. That's going to be the only difference between these two identical containers of rice, apart from the word and the intention. Day 3, fennel seed. Still fine. The love rice, still completely fine. As is the hate rice. Nothing to report. No changes. Still no change. Day 4. See you tomorrow. Okay, so this is day 5. And I think you can see on the hate rice, blue mould. You can see that. It's started to mould. Day 5. Day 9. The effects of thought on reality. The difference between these two pieces of rice, that one has got bad negative energy going to it, and one's got love, good energy. The impact of consciousness on reality. Day 10. Day 11. So this is day 13 I dropped this little jam jar of rice, but I think you can see that's gone really bad. It's gone disgustingly bad. Liquid on the bottom. And there's this rice. This, honestly, still looks good enough to eat. 13 days of love and 13 days of negative energies. If this is what happens to a rice, what happens to you when you have good or bad thoughts?
And what does it look like? What does the rice look like if you do that to humans? On a global scale, project out hate, it looks like this. Okay, to do a little pitch for Language Lessons of the Heart. If you remember, I started out Language Lessons of the Heart. I started off with polarity flip-flops, just to give you a little exercise of feeling the polarity that you're in, feeling your positive, negative, this and that. You know, life is good, life is bad, you know. It's very powerful because it trains you to use your imagination and connect to your emotions and feel with your body sensation that you're walking around a circle or you're out of balance, right? And then the very first process, the actual process of Language Lessons of the Heart that I gave you was the empowerment. I'm empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal my will. I want to live and I want to be fulfilled. Yeah, live. So, and I talked about all the different kinds of ways that you can say that. You say it into yourself, say it out into the future, out into the past, into the events of your life, into the things that you have been hurt by. Now, add that, I'm empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal my will. And your will is your emotional body, it's your feeling body. Yeah? So when you take care of your emotional body, because we are feeling beings, when you take care of the feelings and make them right, then everything else is right. Even though I'm calling it Language Lessons of the Heart, you're not going to feel your heart until you get your emotions running right. So to say, I'm empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal my will, thousands of times, is exactly like saying to the rice, I love you. See? You have sickness, health problems, trauma problems. You do your empowerments, and that shifts the energy. It shifts everything. From rotten feelings to something, you know, feelings you want to eat and that'll nourish you. Yeah? From a rotten, moldy internal atmosphere and feelings in your body to healthful, life-giving, loving, vitality. Yeah? Just that one exercise alone, if you do that very, very, very sincerely, and you build what I call an immaculate intent to heal, you will, you can literally change your body, you change your consciousness, change everything, just from that one. And we have 4 processes. And on the whole that I've done 26 videos before this one, and it's all been about when somebody loads you up and hurts you, what happens to your emotional body? It goes from being this really nice glowing thing to like this judged, denied, hurt, traumatized, conditioned thing in a little box. We have these boxes of ideas, boxes of beliefs, and boxes of limitations that our soul vibrates in and can't get out of. You know, and they're self-judgments and self-hatred and self-denial. So it's all been about what happens when the outside, somebody judges you, somebody hurts you from the outside. Yeah? And remember, from the rice and from the water, you take on that characteristic of being judged. So now you are a judged person, and it turns you into a judging person. You have judgments inside of you, and that's the way you vibrate, so then you turn and judge others. And in this example, I'm going to show you this lady. Right? So this is the goat. The story of the goat eating weeds. Yeah, we don't eat weeds, but goats eat weeds. So this is what happens, how the process works. This lady that I'm showing you right now is that's your friend, ex-lover, or that's your ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend, or she's the catty lady and at whoever it is that at your work, or somebody that you know from church, whoever it is. In this scenario, you find out that this lady has, spread some nasty gossip. So now, in your mind, that lady is a nasty gossip. Now, you already have beliefs that you're not supposed to gossip, you're supposed to be nice. So you have all these sensibilities and beliefs that the nasty gossip hit right inside of you. That hurt. Ouch. Yeah? And now you project out, she's a nasty gossip. Yeah? So, you deny her. You judge her and you deny her because she has all these other kind of capabilities. And what happens is, when you judge her as a nasty gossip, right, she will conform to that judgment. And she will show you and she will become and be a nasty gossip just for you. No matter what else is going on in her life, whatever happened in her childhood, if her husband and wife, husband is leaving her, or whatever's going on in her life, for you, she's going to show you a nasty gossip. And so you've actually hurt her by holding her in a conditional situation. You put the condition on her that this is who she is. And you maybe say, okay, well, she could be other, but really what bothers you, what triggered you, is that she's a nasty gossip. But remember, when you were judged, that feeling went inside of you and hit your feeling body, and it changed your emotions from clean and pure and cool and nice and self-loving or whatever, and it vibrated it and it hurt you, and then now it's this red vibration thing, right? And now you have this self-image of, I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy of love. I can't, no matter what I can do, it always turns to shit and life's struggle. These are all conditions that you put on your emotional body, and that's how you condition your rice and your physical body. Your physical body has to hold all that pattern of being hurt. Yeah? So basically there are weeds growing inside your soul, right? But now you've taken this lady, yeah? And you say there's weeds growing in her soul. She is a nasty gossip. And then you take those weeds and you eat them. Now those weeds are inside of you. You are looking at her and you have eaten her weeds. So now you have your weeds and her weeds. And you've made her polarized to be that person. Okay? So goats eat weeds. Human beings are not supposed to eat weeds. It makes you sick. Weeds make you sick. It'll make you tired. It'll make you angry, make you upset. If the nasty gossip had a high emotional charge because it was the boyfriend who dumped you for the nasty gossip, and then you have all this emotional energy, and now she's a nasty gossip, and then and you're getting anxious and angry and stressed out, and you have to deal with the situation because you're going to see them socially, and all this is the weeds in her garden that you've eaten. So what you've actually done is, instead of seeing the flowers in her garden, you see the weeds. So you go over like a goat and you trample her flowers, yeah, and you eat her all the time, eating her weeds. You're eating the bad thing about her, and you eat that and you take it into your emotional body, and now it lives inside of you. So when you judge other people, not only do you mess up their garden, eat their weeds, but at the same time you're trampling your own garden, yeah, and planting weeds where your flowers were supposed to be, inside of you. And this whole world is based on judging and blaming and shaming, and yeah. So, but I want you to make the connection that when you judge other people, you have already judged yourself. You hold that image, you hold that judgment, and you hold that pain, and you hold that resistance, and you hold that hatred inside of you. And it affects your body, because now you have that judging the boss, you judge the government, you judge the preacher, you judge the teacher, you judge everybody. You know, they're bad, they're nasty, they're out of it, or he's a player, or he's a hurtful, or he's greedy, or whatever, and you just load yourself up, you know, until you're suffering, until your body falls apart. Unless, you know, I'm talking about the extreme cases, right? Where you get sick and the flu and you're opened up to all this stuff because the little rice beings in your body are all turning to shit because of the pain and the judgment and the crap that you have in it. Thinking you're doing a good job by pointing out somebody else's weeds in their garden, you ate their weeds and now you're sick. And your little rice is getting moldy inside of there, and it makes you get inflammation of the joint and a weak heart or bad back and stiff neck and bad complexion and age too quick, right? It's because human beings are not supposed to eat weeds. Goats eat weeds, and that's what their job is. We eat love and connection and communication. And to do that, you have to be clear in your heart, clear in your emotions. Yeah? When all this emotional turmoil is going on, it all has to do with heartlessness, and heart cannot bloom. Heart is the flower in your garden. Yeah? And if all you do is keep adding weeds, you keep putting weeds in while you're trying to correct what's going on out there, heart doesn't have a chance. So, and that goes back to, don't judge unless, at least you be judged. The act of judging is to judge yourself, because going back to Harrell's law, everything is connected. Everything is connected. There is no separation. There is no me and them. Yeah? What you judge out there is you, in a way. Yeah? Because it impacts you in here, not because it's not actually going on, not because it's not the truth. It's always got to be the truth. It's always proof in the truth. Not because of that, but because what you hold in here and project out there has already done its damage to you already. And that's what you want to clear out. That's what you want to forgive. That's what you want to find the judgments and release them. The need to judge, the need to defend, the need to be closed down, the need to resist, the need to separate, right? All that is because of the inner judgments that you've already had, the inner wounds that you already had. And when you do the judgment and denial release, get rid of the denial, get rid of it. And clean it up and make yourself a nice garden. Pretty flowers, no weeds. Yeah? Human beings don't eat weeds. Maybe it's from medicine, but we don't thrive on weeds. We thrive on beauty, and we thrive on feelings of the heart, and we thrive on being connected. And every time you judge somebody is a disconnection from a part of you that wants love. So you have to hold that judgment away from love in order for it to stay a judgment. And you've done this inside of yourself over and over and over and over again until you think that's what life is about. It is not. Holding judgments, holding rage and revenge and resentment, and that's you forming the reality around you, yeah, and pushing it out. And where all that stuff goes when you goes out, where all that stuff goes, if everybody's tough up here trying to be tough, it goes to those people on the street that I showed you. That's where it goes. The simple people. They are the rice that's turning rotten. The people in the street, people starving, the people homeless. Yeah, that's where all this stuff ends up, and it goes into war and all that other stuff. So we are not goats. We're human beings who are connected to everything. Yeah, it's not our job to eat the weeds, digest the weeds, and become sick. Yeah, all the time thinking we're doing, we're pointing out the evil in others, or the wounds in others, or the unconsciousness of others, or the messiness of others, or the list just goes on and on and on, because we have this ideal of the way people should be, and we don't feel the way people really are, the full spectrum of what that person is. We don't feel them. This is the antithetical force of the mind judging them. The mind is antithetical, another word you could say is evil. Yeah? We curse them, and by cursing them we curse ourselves. Yeah? So when you find yourself, so it's very hard for us often to see our own denials and our own bad self-image and our own wounds. Sometimes we don't find that so quick. But when you listen to yourself judging other people, or when you're around people who are judging and what do they call it, gossiping and being catty or mean or whatever it is, when you hear that going on or you participate in that, that is because that is your wounds being hurting you. And that needs to be addressed. That needs to be addressed. So remember, there's two things that I'm kind of talking about. One is all of the things of language that's hard is when the outside has hurt you, yeah, and then you have to deal with that, and that's what the process is for. But you are also involved with hurting other people by the projections of unhealed, wounds. Hurt people. Hurt people. If you're hurt people, then you're going to hurt people by the projection of your, the water will feel your hurt. The trees will feel it, the kids will feel it, the dogs will feel it, everybody feels it. That's why healing yourself is the most loving thing you can do, because you're not projecting out pain into the rice people. Yeah? So, see if I can put this all together and make it look right. I know it's hard, but if you're having physical problems, every goddamn physical problem, every illness has its roots in judgments and denial and traumas that have happened to you already that you have not addressed, that you have denied. Every judgment has a denial in it. And that vibrational frequency makes your body hurt, your back hurt, skin, whatever it is, kidneys, liver, digestive system, sexual system, all that stuff is whenever you have illness in your body, on any level, that is the rice turning rotten. And when you find the judgments and the trauma that are associated with that particular place in your body where the rice is turning rotten, and you release that, you scream it out, you release the judgment, you find the denials, and you do that on a deep and profound level in an atmosphere of love and cooperation of your four parts, you won't have illness like that. You might have little things, but you won't have illness like that. And you can take care of it. So there's a physical side of this, an actual physical manifestation of this, and you're causal to other people's suffering. Goats eat weeds. We don't eat weeds. Every judgment, every bad thing, every time you talk about people, yeah, you're hurting yourself. You've judged yourself already. You are displaying your wounds. God's taking care of everybody. They don't need to be corrected by you or pointed out their flaws by you. That's not your job. Your job is to take care of your inner garden and be the example of the vibration of somebody who has self-love. If they need self-love, you vibrate self-love. You vibrate inner balance. You vibrate a clean emotional. Yeah? That's what Hugh Lin does with the Ho'oponopono. Is he cleans that vibrational frequency in his belly so it's clean. And then when people come to him, they pick up a clean energy, and then they can become that. Yeah? We are the tuning forks of this creation. Make sure your tuning fork is pitched at a pure vibration, which is no judgment, no denial, no trauma, no self-hatred, no self-blame, no rage, no terror, none of that stuff. You express it, release it, replace it, heal it, and love it back to neutrality. Yeah, that's what you do. That's what the four processes are all about. The empowerment, judgment and denial release, emotional release is so important. Or why is it so important? Because it breaks the spell. It breaks the spell. You have these judgments and you have this trauma that is attached to you sometimes for 30, 40 years. When you scream, it breaks the spell. It breaks the spell of that continual rotting of your soul. It breaks the spell. That's why you scream deep and hard and loud, and just stay with it, and put your consciousness of compassion down in there and feel it. Yeah, and then you can actually feel the situation, relive it. I know it's hard, but rather than have it working on a subconscious level, you take care of it as one time, deeply and fully and completely. Yeah, and then you release the judgments, the denials, and beliefs that are holding it in place. And then that particular one will never be there again. It's gone forever, permanently erased. And then there's the talking to the parts of the self. I said we are feeling people in the beginning. We are feeling people, not thinking people. And the thinking person needs to connect to the feeling people. And where we feel, we think here, and where we feel is in our heart, in our belly, and in our whole body. So it's good, just like it's good to talk to a tree, talk to your dog, talk to people, talk to the sky, talk to God, whoever. But please learn and practice really good talking to your heart, talking to your will, talking to your body, and make your internal atmosphere one of love, harmony, cooperation, power, creativity, all the kind of stuff that you want to feel is by communication, not denial. It's by a relationship, not separation. Yeah, that's why talking to the parts of the self is so powerful. And you may not do this your whole life, but for the time when you're doing healing, it's very, very important. All right, I know this is probably way too long, but some important things were said.
Tune into the galactic core, right out into uncreated space.